Hello everyone, welcome back to the Nut House where we share a little glimpse into our life living in Georgia. Today I'm going to show you a recipe that I use to make English muffins. I store some in the freezer and some in the refrigerator, so we always have an option for breakfast. So I'm going to start by heating 1 3/4 cup of milk. I'm using whole milk today. We're going to warm that up and we're going to put that in our mixing bowl. Now you can do this in a bread machine or you can even do this by hand. It's all up to you. I'm also going to soften about 3 tablespoons of real butter. There's no margarine in this house. And we're going to heat that up a little bit and get that in the mixing bowl as well. Now to this bowl, I also add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Of course, you can use honey if you prefer. Also, we're going to add some instant yeast. I'm using 2 teaspoons, and I'm just going to mix this up a little bit and get it incorporated. I'm using my knife here because I don't have a dishwasher currently, so I don't want to make too many dishes. I'm also going to add 1 egg. I'm going to beat it up a little bit and put it in the bowl as well. Now on top of this mixture, we're going to add 4 1/2 cups of bread flour. Now you can also use all-purpose flour here, but today I'm using bread flour because the gluten in the bread flour is higher, so normally I will get a higher rise from it. So also we're going to add about 1 1/2 teaspoons of some salt on top of the flour, and then we're going to start the mixer. I'm going to add the dough attachment and get that started mixing up really well. Now, as this bread mixes, I'm going to be watching to make sure that it's hydrated enough that all the bits on the side have incorporated into the center, and I'm going to also make sure it's not too wet. Now, with English muffins, if you want the big nooks and crannies, then you're going to have a high hydration dough, which means it's a very wet dough, which also means it's very sloppy. And so I am not choosing to make mine that way because it makes a mess, and I really don't like to have to clean up. It's hard to get the bread dough off of all of that stuff, especially when you're hand washing your dishes. So I prefer to do it this way, but of course if you want the nooks and crannies, you would probably just have to pinch off the dough, like it's going to be like a blob, and put it onto your skillet in order to cook. But this one kind of is more of a bread dough consistency than a really wet dough. This is going to make 16 English muffins. So we're going to knead this dough for 10 minutes or so until it is incorporated and it's a smooth ball of dough. So you notice how clean that bowl is. That's exactly what I want. I know that it is perfectly hydrated, and I'm going to have some really good English muffins. I'm going to take the dough out of the bowl, and I'm going to go ahead and grease the bowl with a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to put the dough back in, and we're going to let this rise until it's about doubled in size, which takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then we will cook them. So we've enjoyed eating these every morning for breakfast, and my son likes a ham and cheese English muffin that has been toasted in the toaster, and we have been eating egg and cheese sandwiches for breakfast on them. They are really delicious. I'm going to take a well-loved sheet pan, and we're going to get some cornmeal. Now, I don't have any of the fancy flour that they say, farina or whatever that is. I have just some cornmeal mix, and I'm going to put it in on the bottom of this pan, so that when I divide my English muffin dough up, I can sit it on the pan and it won't stick. So this dough, like I said, is going to make 16. So I'm going to divide it in half and then divide those halves into 8. And then I'll show you how I roll them up so that we have no seams on the bottom and that it's one cohesive roll. So I'm going to pinch the dough into itself so that it has just one seam at the bottom, and then to get rid of that seam, I'm going to roll it. Now I can roll it in my hand, or I can roll it on my board countertop. So that's what I prefer to do. So I will take the dough and put it in the palm of my hand, and then just roll it around and around until it's what I want. Now we're going to take the roll that we've made, the muffin that we've made, and then we're going to put some of that cornmeal, kind of pat it in the cornmeal so that it's on both sides, so it's not sticking. And the ones you get in the store have the cornmeal on the outside, and that's the reason why we're doing this. If you're enjoying our videos and haven't subscribed yet, please do so down below. That would help our channel out so much. We haven't reached 1,000 subscribers yet, and I'm hoping we'll be able to do that soon. Also, I want to thank each and every one of you for leaving comments down below. It's so fun, and I love hearing from all of you. After I get these rolls, these English muffin rolls, onto this pan, I'm going to let it rise for around 30 minutes or so. They're really not going to double in size, but they are going to poof up. And now you have to decide how you want to cook them. You can do it on top of the stove in a skillet, or you can do it like I am. I'm going to do it in an electric skillet. Now I have this vintage Electro Minute Maid skillet that I love, and we're going to put it in that on around 300 degrees, 350, something like that. I'm going to put the lid on it, and it's going to act like an oven. So if you do it on the stove top, you can check the internal temperature to make sure it's done. If it's not done, you can stick it in the oven a little bit. I'm just really bad at doing these on top of the stove. I always get the pan too hot and the outside burns and the inside's not done. So this is a great way to do it in the electric skillet, because it keeps this temperature for you at whatever you set. Now sometimes I'll turn the temperature down just a little bit if I notice that they're getting too brown too fast. But this is a really easy and simple way to do it, especially if you have an electric skillet. And I'm sure if you had a griddle, even like a pancake griddle, you could do it on that as well. Now I'm going to get the skillet preheated, and I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil on the bottom of the pan. Now I don't use any of the spray Pam or cooking sprays. This is what I use instead, just this little bottle with a brush on the end of it. I find that it doesn't leave that residue that Pam cooking spray uses, and I just prefer it over that. But I'm gonna do this just so it doesn't stick at all. We're gonna get these in the pan, and then I'm gonna leave them probably about 5 minutes or so, 10 minutes, and I'm just gonna keep checking on them. And I'm gonna flip them, and then when they're cooked completely through, they will be finished. And here's what they look like when they are finished. We're going to get them out and let them cool. I'm going to put half in my freezer and then half in the refrigerator. And then when I get up to make my husband breakfast in the morning, I will cut one, put it in the toaster, and it's just a really quick breakfast because I do not have time to make any homemade biscuits before he leaves. And here they are, so delicious. I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.